It's business as usual at the Lebombo Border Post in Mpumalanga despite the protests in Mozambique. The N4 toll road on the Mozambican side is among the major roads targeted by the protesters. Mozambicans are disputing the October general election results and they claim that the elections were rigged in favour of the governing Frelimo Party. The processing of cargo and private vehicles is running smoothly at the port of entry. Now, those crossing the border from Mozambique say there are no disruptions in Mozambique today. The Border Management Authority says early this morning the border was experiencing a high number of people crossing in and out of Mozambique. We'll stay with the story now and get more details. We'll speak to Dr. Michael Masiapato, who's the Border Management Authority Commissioner. Good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. It seems it was relatively a smooth day as some of the protesters in the country of Mozambique seem to be taking a break somewhat, if one may call it that. Is that still the case right now?
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Bongiwe, and we appreciate the opportunity as the Border Management Authority. Yes, indeed, Bongiwe. Remember, since Friday, we had started the processing of cargo, which has been one of the fundamental challenges that we have actually got. And since then, until this point, we have continued to process cargo. There hasn't been any disruption. And of course, in terms of the processing of people, you will remember that even at the apex of the strike itself, the processing of people were not necessarily disrupted, because even on the corridor on the Mozambican side, the people that crossed into Mozambique, which were mainly Mozambicans going back home, everything has fairly been going well. So indeed, Bongo, you're very much right. Yesterday, for example, we were able to process around 16,000 people, and the majority of those were going back into Mozambique. And of course, those are verified figures. But of course, since this morning, we have continued to process people. We have seen a high number of Mozambicans continuing to go back, and we suspect it is because of going to celebrate the new year, as it were. And of course, tomorrow is going to be the last day in terms of the implementation of what we call the exit leg of our plan. And from the first, we are going to start with the return leg.
So when you listen to some of the activists in that country, they say that for now they're on a break somewhat and maybe regrouping when it comes to these particular protests. How concerned are you about that?
Yeah, you see, Bongo, remember, we now are sitting on week number 7, where we have been in this particular situation. You will remember that we had always been working together with our Mozambican counterparts, and they continued to guide us in terms of what we need to do. In instances where there is a bit of serious instability, they guide us and we stop the processing. As soon as they indicate there is some stability, we then reactivate. You will remember, Bongo, in terms of the trucks, the reason we reactivated was on the basis that the military as well as the police on the Mozambican side escorted our trucks into Maputo Harbour. Now, in terms of people movement, there hasn't been much of a disruption. Now, coming to your question, Bongi, whether we are very much concerned, we can indicate that, yes, indeed, we are concerned and we are on very serious high alert to make sure that we are able to deal with whatever eventuality that will arise. You will remember, Bongi, we do have our plan B, and our plan B was that if indeed it becomes very much unmanageable, particularly in terms of the movement of people, we will definitely move people into Mananga port of entry, allow them to enter Eswatini and be able to exit Eswatini into Mozambique through Lomahasha. So from where we sit as the Border Management Authority, everything is going according to plan, and we are coordinating the work of all the stakeholders. Have you had any cases of undocumented persons who have been trying to cross, and were there any repeat offenders among those? Yes, indeed. That is one thing that we had fairly been dealing with all this while, which is very much a challenge, as it were. But of course, I can confirm, Bongiwe, in this leg, which is fairly the exit leg, even the people that we have actually intercepted on the vulnerable segments of the borderline, which we had to bring into the port, were mainly people attempting to exit the country illegally, meaning they are trying to exit the country without coming to the port, because they know if they do that, we are going to V-list them, we are going to ban them for 5 years, we are going to take their fingerprints, so they try to go outside. So since the 10th, when we started with the implementation of the plan, we have been able to intercept an average of 350 to 400 daily. So the figures are very much serious, and that is primarily been on the basis of the assistance that we got from the drones, which we got from the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. As we deploy them in the valley on the northern side of Lebombo, as well as on the southern side, which is on the mountain, we were able to pick up people, and on that basis, we were able to deal with them, brought them into the port. But even those that were trying to enter the country illegally, mainly they were trying to get into Komati port to buy some goodies for Christmas. But unfortunately, we had to make sure that they are intercepted and basically get deported.
When you look at the other ports of entries, have you had any issues at all?
Yeah, you see, Bongiwe, in terms of the processing this time around, I can confirm that all of the various ports, everything has been going well. I do know, for example, that the Deputy Minister of Police will be at Beitbridge tomorrow. The team is also very much ready to be able to receive her there. So the report I got from the port commander as well as the port management committee at Beitbridge, everything has went well, even in terms of the exit. In terms of Maseru Bridge, as well as Fitzburg, Oshuk, for example, to Eswatini, together with Kofontaine to Botswana, everything is going well. You will remember the area that we almost had a bit of a challenge was OR Tambo. And we made sure that we acted very much speedily to deal with that system problem that we experienced when we started with the operations. And of course, as you will remember, we did have a media briefing together with the CEO of AXA, Madam Pofu, to make sure that we reaffirm our readiness for this particular period. And I can confirm, Bongiwe, that since then until this point, there hasn't been any glitch. Even at OR Tambo, everything has been going well. I can also indicate, Bongiwe, that in terms of our work at the maritime space, for example, at Durban Harbour as well as Cape Town Harbour, I have been interacting with the port commanders there. They are indicating that their processing of the South Africans getting into cruise liners had went very much well. As we speak, they are in the oceans through the cruise liners, and we are going to wait them to come back for us to process them back into the country. So everything is going according to plan, Bongiwe, up to this point.
And I suppose you and I will be envious of those people who are in cruise line as well. But thank you so much for that update. Somebody's got to do the job. Somebody's got to do the job. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. That is Dr. Michael Masiapato, the Border Management Authority Commissioner.